CNN analyst breaks down what could be revealed in Trump's tax returns. Now, this already raises a lot of questions in my mind, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut and check this video out. And maybe in the middle or after the video, we can also break down what we think of their breakdown, right? Without wasting your time, let's check it out.
Legal analyst Norm Eisen and our senior law enforcement analyst Andrew McCabe. CNN's Caitlin Polance is still with us as well. Andrew, let's start with the fight between the U.S. Justice Department and the former President Trump's legal team right now over the special master issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents probe. Based on what we heard today, do you think federal prosecutors are making a winning argument?
Well, Wolf, it sounds like they are. If we take the reactions of the judges during today's hearing as an indicator of where they're likely to rule, then the Justice Department is probably feeling pretty good tonight. But let's remember that they're appealing this simply because the initial ruling from Judge Cannon in Florida was so unprecedented, so off base, and it put the department in a very dangerous position, potentially having to put up with a precedent that could wreak havoc in all sorts of other cases. This is simply not done in criminal investigations when the subject of a search warrant can walk into court and request the imposition of a special master to slow things down and review all the government's evidence. Just no other defendant is treated that way in this country, and the Justice Department can't leave the door open to this poor ruling from Judge Cannon to set that sort of precedent.
Norm, how do you expect this will all play out?
Wolf, the underlying issue in the argument today was, should a former president get special treatment? His lawyer, Jim Trusty, pressed that again and again, claiming it was context. The court was hostile to that. That leaves us, in fact, at one point they said, how would this, forget that he's a former president? Could we apply the rule here of the lower court in every case? Of course they can't. And for that reason, because no one's above the law, we have to have the same rules for everyone. The great likelihood is that Trump is going to face defeat in the 11th Circuit.
So upon facing defeat, how is it going to hurt him? Like, what kind of defeat? What is defeat in the first place? Like, what exactly? That's the best question. What is defeat for Trump?
Good point. Caitlin, this fight comes just a few days after the new special counsel, Jack Smith, was announced. How would a win on this matter unfolding right now impact his work?
Well, right now, Jack Smith is coming into place. We know that he's telling his teams, don't slow down, keep doing what you're doing. He's coming in as a supervisor. But at this point in the Mar-a-Lago investigation, he can't access some of the evidence that was collected by the Justice Department during that search and seizure in August. I mean, today, Trump's lawyer, Jim Trusty, was saying, well, it was a Celine Dion poster. It was golf shirts that the FBI had taken out of Mar-a-Lago. But really, there were classified documents intermixed with all kinds of other things. The classified documents, the Justice Department has those, the intelligence community has those. They're able to work on those. Smith is able to direct his team what to do with that as part of a case. But everything else that would have been gathered in that search and seizure, I'm sure as Andy knows, those things become part of the evidence as well. And right now, a portion of that really is shut off to him. We don't know how quickly the court will rule here, but this was a very, very short hearing today. And so it could affect him long term if they sit on things, but perhaps they won't.
Yeah, let's not forget those documents, some of them at least, were not just classified, but they were the most sensitive, highly, highly classified documents that should never have been there to begin with. Norm, let's turn to the U.S. Supreme Court decision to allow the House of Representatives to review former President Trump's tax returns. Why do lawmakers want to access these records to begin with? And what
that's
sort
a
of
good
relevant
question.
information
Can
might
they find?
actually contain?
Yeah.
Well, if we wanted these, and I worked on the case when I was co-counsel in the impeachment, because they contain evidence, very likely, of Trump's
tax evasion
entanglements with, for starters, foreign governments. We know that's an issue. Information has continued to come out. It's something that's so serious, they put it in the Constitution. Well, forbidden, they call it emoluments. So I think those kinds of indications will be in the tax returns. Congress will pore over them. Trump is also under investigation in New York for alleged business improprieties, both civil and criminal. that kind of information may come out.
It's like people are really into getting Donald Trump. What did he do to all these people? Why does he have so many enemies, Donald Trump? Yeah, I thought they were going to have like in the panel, they'll have like, it seems these people, everybody here wants to smoke him. There's nobody in his defense. I thought they were going to have people in his defense here.
And then, of course, we've never had a president in modern times refuse to turn over tax returns. So this will help Congress frame legislative and policy initiatives to deal with that kind of secrecy. Very important day for Congress in the Supreme Court.
And the Democrats are still in the majority at least until January. That's when the Republicans take over the majority. We'll see what happens between now and January. Andrew, could information from these tax returns actually advance any of the multiple investigations the former president is currently facing?
Multiple.
Well, I mean, they certainly could. We don't know exactly what's in those returns, but once they're subjected to the sort of analysis that I'm sure Congress will do, we'll see what sort of referrals potentially come from that analytical work and maybe get sent over to the Department of Justice. You know, as Norm said, we already have a pretty extensive record, at least within New York State, of authorities looking into not just former President Trump, but also his company's business practices with respect to potentially inflating and deflating the value of assets to benefit himself in terms of loans and tax.
So did he do this while he was in office? That's another question I want to know, because that would be like straight up illegal, right? Because you're not supposed to, even while buying stocks, they literally ask you, do you have any affiliation with the government or do you work with a company, something like that?
Taxes and that sort of thing. So there could be relevant information in these returns that actually adds fuel to those already simmering investigations.
That's fuel.
Caitlin, what I thought was very interesting, there were no public dissents to this Supreme Court decision from any of the justices, including those appointed by Trump himself. Does that tell you anything?
Well, if they did make quick work of this, a denial with nothing else said on the record, allowing those tax returns to go over to House Democrats, it doesn't really tell us whether there was any internal dissent at the Supreme Court. It is possible for justices to disagree and not publicly come out and say that. But one of the things that is always surprising when you're watching courts, especially appeals courts, is when things are handled quickly. And there was always a possibility here that this case would never have been resolved by the end of this Congress, the end of Democrats' control of this Congress. This case was opened 2 years ago. We really are in the last quarter of the House Democrats having the Ways and Means Committee, and it does appear they are going to get these things with the Supreme Court's blessing very quickly and with no dissent.
Yeah,
so it is
point.
notable in that.
I thought
timing.
so too. All right, Caitlin Polance, Norm Eisen, Andrew McCabe, guys, thank you very much.
Okay, that was pretty interesting, right? Everybody there seemed to be frying Donald Trump. I don't know if this is the Republican side, but there's been a lot of cases with Donald Trump committing different crimes and things. But as far as the tax thing, I think Robert Kiyosaki did an explanation when he was speaking about real estate and investment, where you use debt to acquire property or acquire cash flow, and then because you're still in debt, you don't have to pay taxes. So he did an explanation on that side, and he said if Donald Trump is his friend, and that is most likely what Donald Trump was doing. That's why he doesn't have to pay taxes. I'm not a professional on that, but yeah, there's a video we just saw about I think Donald Trump was found guilty of one of his companies, and that was mostly because of the person in charge. I think he allocated money to the staff and his family members without reporting it to the IRA, and he was found guilty. Not necessarily Donald Trump, but the person in charge of that sector. So far, I don't think they've had anything on Donald Trump, but we'll see. It seems like these people are actively trying to smoke Donald Trump because he's coming back in 2023 or 2024. He's really coming back, like he's game for these people. Anyways, let me know what you think of this video. If you want us to bring some more follow-up videos, if you think Donald Trump is guilty about something, feel free to let me know in the comment section. It's my time and it's time to sign out. So have a very wonderful day. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.